Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. It's Altai here with episode 122. Played the theme song a little bit too much there, and I'm joined this week by Omar. Omar, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It was a good week. Good week.
It was a good week. Unfortunately we missed last week. We were traveling, and maybe you can tell I still have a bit of a cold from my journeys. But we are back in Vegas, at least for now.
We were able to get the Friday Grindfest in afterwards, which was a lot of fun actually. We did Guild Wars 2. We might talk a little bit about that, but I played some Doki Doki Literature Club on stream, which was actually remarkably more fun than I thought it would be. Pretty scary, spooky, mindfuck of a game.
Did you put that on YouTube?
I did not.
Maybe
it's
you
a
should.
5-hour video.
Oh, you're right. But
it's a whole playthrough, you know.
Yeah. At least save it so it's not lost after 30 days on Twitch.
I did. Anyway, let's have that weekly quality raid.
All right. Look at this guy on schedule, as it were. So, this week, Omar wants to get right to it. Our weekly raid is, do MMORPGs still have room for elite content? And this topic was spurred on by a recent patch for Final Fantasy XIV that Omar has been avidly playing. So, Omar, I'm going to let you explain what the patch added and what your complaint is with that patch.
All right, so Final Fantasy XIV released patch 4.1 last week. There's one other issues of the patch, but what we're going to focus on this week is Return to Ivalice, which adds a new 24-man raid to the game, dungeon rather. And it's the problem with that raid and the dungeon is that it's really not that difficult, and by not that difficult, I mean literally anyone can complete it, which is fine for typical new content in the game. Not everything should be made really difficult for high tier players or savage or raiders or whatever. But the problem with the Return to Ivalice raid is that it can actually drop something called a coin, which you can use those coins to basically trade for twines, which is very convoluted. I know it sounds convoluted. Twines, which can be used to upgrade your tombstone gear, which you get by just doing nonsense PvE, super easy mode, to get best in slot gear. So essentially what this is doing is it's allowing casual players to get best in slot gear equivalent to raiders.
Okay.
It's essentially gear welfare. So I know I kind of explained a little poorly, but ultimately, when you do this raid, you get a token, which would normally only be obtainable by completing Omega 3 Savage, which is Savage tier content, which is the game's high-end rating stuff, which is maybe open to probably 7-10% clear rates.
Give me an easy, medium, hard scale. So let's say Omega 1, 2, 3, 4 is the hard, right?
Yes. Okay.
And let's say the non-raid leveling content is easy, or no. Even let's say end game. Casual raids.
Dungeons,
yeah. Those are easy. So is this a medium or is this an easy?
This would be maybe in between easy and medium. I don't want to say medium because it's really not that difficult. And literally every time I ran it right earlier today, actually, and it was brain dead easy. Nobody died. When it first launched, people were dying because people just didn't know the mechanics. But it's unbelievably forgiving, first of all. So you can die. It's no problem. But you can keep getting rezzed all day because there are no enrage mechanics. So people can literally die over and over again. It makes no difference. They keep getting rezzed.
So combat heals are pretty common in Final Fantasy?
Yes. Okay. Yes. But typically in a Savage run, there are enrage timers. So if you're dying a lot, you actually lose damage when you're dead. And when you res, you have res sickness for about a minute where you do less damage. If you die again, you get even more res sickness. So dying multiple times in a fight you might as well wipe because you might have the DPS to clear it at the end. And that's not an issue in this new 4.1 raid. And what pisses me, it really does piss me off to a degree because players casual players can now get best in slot gear. Literally the best gear pieces. Like for example, my Black Mage, you could get a best in slot Black Mage chest piece, the Allegrin piece, which upgrades to 340 item level, best in slot by literally doing this pretty brain dead dungeon, which anyone can do. Which is before this, casual players couldn't do that. They get 330 gear, that was it. To get 340 gear required some kind of rating before, and it's really frustrating that they can just get the best in slot gear, and it's really dumbing down the game. Unfortunately, this is not new to 4.1. They did this in Heaven's Ward as well, so this is not a new phenomena. But just seeing this pisses me off because it really does feel like welfare for casual players. And what makes it especially funny is that the item you get to trade in for the Savage drop that would normally only drop in Savage is called a coin. You're literally in the welfare office to get your coins, all right? It makes it so much. The only thing they could have done worse was to call it stamps. You get your stamps, all right? And with your stamps, you get the best gear.
Okay, so in the weekly raid, guys, I mentioned that this seems to be a trend across not only MMORPGs, but gaming. I think people have been complaining about this for a while now, but I do think MMORPGs took it to the extreme. I remember, we've been playing MMORPGs for almost probably 2 decades now, and I recall, people complaining about WoW even when it first came out as being too casual because there was really no loss when you died besides like repair fees. So that was casual, and then now it's like. And the Chinese games we played back then, guys, the Chinese games where you just can't die. Like you just run in and like you could chain the whole room on the whole like area on you, all the mobs, and they do like 0 damage, and you just you can kill them easily. Perfect World was a big example of this. Those games were almost like a joke. Like I really at the time I never thought that philosophy would filter into Western games, stuff like WoW or whatever. But when you play WoW today, or any MMORPG, it's almost like a chore to die. Like we did a grindfest for Star Wars: The Old Republic. We could literally just sit AFK on a boss fight in a dungeon and just not die. Like our NPC
It was on the easy mode though, but it was like that difficult. It was a normal dungeon. It wasn't on the most difficult mode or anything. But
I did that same dungeon when the game came out, and you had to be on your toes or you're wifed. So okay, anyway, so the point is, this has been a trend throughout gaming, MMORPGs particularly. To you and me, it sounds so like stupid, right?
Yes.
But can it? I'm sure these companies are testing it, right? Because it's such a industry-wide trend. So my counter to Yomar is I do believe they tested this, right, with their focus group of players, a range of players, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 50-year-olds, right? And they decided this is what people want. This is the market.
Well, first I want to address what somebody Purecat's saying in the chat about it being potentially catch-up gear. Personally, I don't think you should ever be able to get best in slot gear through casual nonsense like this. First of all, the actual Evilist raid I think is pretty brain dead. It is actually, I think, an unbelievably poorly designed encounter. The last boss, for example, he's got so many mechanics, but it doesn't matter. You can just stand there and eat every single mechanic, and it really doesn't matter. In fact, the last boss is probably the easiest encounter in that fight, despite him having these crazy mechanics. I feel like they designed that encounter and like, wait a minute, it's too hard. So they just reduced the damage on everything rather than changing the mechanics. They got lazy halfway through. So you get the best in slot gear through a really brain dead run, which everyone is going to be able to do. And my concern is that if they want to let people play catch up, it's okay, you can do that. But never should it be best in slot. When new gear comes out for hardcore players, the people that are willing to put in the hours and to grind and to work their asses off, quote unquote work, right? Whatever, to get the best in slot gear. When new shit comes out for them and they can get higher item level gear, and then you can catch up all the bakas and all the casuals, it's fine. It's okay to be casual, but don't ever have them on the same page. It's insulting and it's stupid. It makes no sense.
Okay.
To address your point with to address your point, I think there are some loud, vocal casual players. Most casual players aren't posting on forums, aren't giving feedback regardless. Okay, let's be real. How often have you ever hit the "I'll give you my feedback" button? Never. You don't give a shit. Most people aren't going to give a shit, but the few loud people that are going to be the casuals are going to bitch and moan. And even if some hardcore players put their feedback as well, everybody knows hardcore people don't represent a big percent anyway.
Okay, then I would say this to you. I'm not talking about people submitting feedback. I'm talking about the company before a game comes out. Okay, doing like some research on what people want. And I don't want to focus specifically on one patch or one dungeon. But growing up, guys, you guys watching this and us, when I was playing games, like and I was talking about games, at school with my friends, it was not implied that everybody could beat every game. Like just because you bought a game doesn't mean you would see it to the end, even if you played it a lot. It wasn't a given that somebody would buy a game and beat it. Like whether it was X-Men or Ghouls and Goblins or whatever. Or there's a lot of players that never got to the end of a game, and not for want of trying or playing. It just the games were not made to be beat so easily. And the philosophy now is no matter what game, even a single player RPG back then was not meant to be beat by everyone. But today you can't find anybody who can't. If you just keep going forward, right? If you just hold the forward button, you can pretty much beat a game these days. Like basically every game became Pokemon, where you can just spam one ability and win. Okay, so.
But here's where I think you're wrong on the what people want issue. If you look at World of Warcraft, again, we're talking MMORPGs right now because this is the MMOs.com podcast, okay? World of Warcraft subscriptions peaked around Wrath of the Lich King, I believe, and that was before things went full pussification. It didn't go full pussification until later on. Obviously, since BC, things started getting easier and easier. But peak subscriptions for World of Warcraft were back when the game was harder than it is today. So I don't think you can just say, "Oh, developers know what we want," is because there's a loud group of vocal minority of casual players that give a shit. I think casual things something very important, and in MMORPGs, being able to admire somebody and see somebody as hard. Whoa, that guy's got the fucking tier 2 armor in World of Warcraft. I saw that in Ironforge. I would see people with tier 2 gear. And I was like, holy shit, I want to get that one day. And I'm just sitting there with that full greedy, meanie piece of shit equipment. By the way, like I played a lot of WoW, and I wasn't good. And if I Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing a lot recently. I'm still pretty casual. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do the. I'm only on Omega 4 right now, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do.
Hold up. I gotta hold you up.
All right.
Doing the first Omega makes you not casual.
Whatever. Fine. I'm not as hardcore as other people, right? And I don't think I probably never do the Unending Coil of Bahamut, the new Beyond Savage stuff. I'm probably not going to do it. You know, I might, but I'm going to try. I might not be able to do it, and that's okay. It's okay to have content that we can't beat. I want to aspire to beat content. I want something in the game that nobody's ever gotten, or I have never gotten. I want to keep being able to push my own limits higher and higher and higher, and that keeps me playing games. I'm convinced that even this applies to the casuals as well, and that's the reason why early MMORPGs, like early World of Warcraft, had so many subscribers. People wanted this shit. They didn't want the pussification that we have today. It's what developers think we want, and it's giving it to us because there's the vocal minority of casuals. Again, most people aren't posting on the forums. Most people don't give a shit, right? Okay. They're in the background.
Yes.
And the problem is, for example, with this new patch, for example, a lot of people on the Final Fantasy forums were bitching when they added this new Beyond Savage content because it's content made for not even just Savage Raiders, above that, for world's first people, for people that are really hardcore, right? They're like, why are you making content for this? I pay a sub fee. You should make content for me, right?
Okay.
And other people were pissed off. Those same casuals were pissed off. Oh, why do I have to clear Omega 4 before I can do it? Because there's a prerequisite for the Unending Coil of Bahamut for Beyond Savage. There's a prerequisite. You have to have cleared Omega 4 before you can even do it. Omega 4 Savage. And they're bitching, oh, I should have an equal shot of doing this as everybody else. Why can't I get an equal shot? What the fuck? This idea of these casual mongoloids just bitching on forums demanding that they have access to this content, which they have no right to. They haven't deserved it. They didn't earn it.
They don't deserve
the hours. They didn't put in the hours to get the gear. They didn't put the hours to get the clears. Who the fuck are they to demand everything? It's ruining it because when they have it, right? Again, maybe this is a little philosophical here, but sometimes that there's a quote in Star Trek. Data.
I'll pull it. It's not Data. It's Spock.
It's Spock. Pull up that Star Trek quote.
Keep talking. I'll let you know when I find it.
Okay. I really do think this applies a lot to MMORPGs, and the problem is developers just give players what they want because I think game designers aren't retarded. I think there's a problem on the business end of things. I think game designers realize this problem. But then when it goes back to the business people tell them, look, we have to go for the 95% casual audience. Make it easier. They're the ones that fucking ruin it for everyone because designers they get paid to make the game anyway. And they're going to make it easy because they think they want to capture a bigger market. And they're really not. They're shooting themselves in the foot because it's not what people actually want. It just ruins the experience for the hardcore raiders, devalues their experience. And honestly, it shits on the experience of the casual players too. If you just get shit for free, the game's not fun. You have to earn it. And you can always add new content for the casuals too without giving them best in slot gear because that's just making the game shitty.
All right. I found a quote, guys. This is Omar's philosophy on casual pussification of endgame rating. Here we go, guys. Spock tells it like it is.
Stan. She is yours. After a time, you may find that having is not so pleasing a thing after all as wanting. It is not logical, but it is often true.
There it is, boys. Some knowledge bombs from Mr. Spock there, Dr. Spock.
For example, I was doing just yesterday in the last 2 days. I played nonstop Final Fantasy 14 last 2 days, pretty much nonstop, at least like 7-8 hours a day of doing nonstop. Look, I just started rating Final Fantasy 14 pretty much with the last patch, so I really have 20 experience on my belt. So it took me a good while to get my Shinryu clears, which is a new primal they add to the game. It's in between Omega 2 and 3 Savage in terms of difficulty, and I did it for like 12, 14 hours, and it was a lot of fun. Wiping, learning, going through the mechanics. It was a shit ton of fun. And if I just got my reward without actually putting in the hours, what's the point of that? When you pander to casuals, it shits on the game for everyone. It just ruins the experience.
Okay, first of all, I want everyone to know that I am not arguing that I like this kind of content, okay? But here's my point. Even before this stuff happened in American games, right? Or Japanese games, it was a big thing in Asia. Okay, like in China, Korea. You all know what I'm talking about. You log into like an Asian game, and then like this thing, daily rewards pop up, special rewards pop up,
All that bullshit.
all this stuff, auto walk, to NPC, auto combat. Okay, so and these games, guys, are big. They make a lot of money. I don't know. You're saying like the business, you're saying the companies are wrong for doing this, but a lot of these Asian MMORPGs are way bigger than their Western counterparts. So it's not like there are browser games that play themselves, right, with no difficulty, and they're bigger than they make more money than like actual games. So there is a market, a big market for these brain dead games. Because you know why? Here's my point. 90% of people are brain dead. Like, do you guys remember like how dumb the average person was? Like I took a computer class in like middle school. The teacher was so stupid. The teacher couldn't figure anything out. So the fact that there are 10 million players in WoW, they can like turn their monitor on and like use a keyboard and mouse is baffling to me. That's amazing in and of itself.
But look at World of Warcraft at peak subscribers and look at it now. The game had more players and was more hardcore. And your argument that some casual games do well is different because we're talking and more strictly speaking MMORPGs. World of Warcraft is the second highest grossing MMORPG every year.
I'll stick to MMORPGs. Okay, when WoW came out by the way, WoW today is a really old game. So the fact that it's still got it's as big as it is, that is impressive. But I would argue then that if WoW came out with the current difficulty scale in 2004, it might have been bigger. It might have been 10 times bigger. There are a lot of people in WoW that probably quit after they get to like level 30 because they physically could not do the content. They could not clear even the first dungeon in WoW. It took me 3 hours to clear that my first time.
Dead Mines, right?
Dead Mines.
I remember that.
There's no way like a 40-year-old with 3 kids and a job and like a mortgage is gonna be able to clear that easily. Like he's gonna say.
But he doesn't have to. But that's a problem. When you let him clear it without earning it, he loses.
He can't clear the first dungeon. He doesn't deserve that.
No, he'll have more fun learning how to clear the dungeon himself than if you just give it to them. For example, for example. Earlier today, I just did my welfare run in Final Fantasy 14, which is doing the Return to Evil East Rabanastre raid. The 24-man raid. I went to the welfare line. I got my coin. All right, and that coin you would normally only get. Wait, I want you to understand how bullshit this is. Okay, I'll try explaining it pretty well. So again, in Final Fantasy 14, in order to upgrade your item level 330 creation gear, it's 330 gear. You have to do Omega 3, and when you clear Omega 3, it drops 1 twine, guaranteed every time, and it drops it for a rate of 8 people, and everybody wants that fucking twine, right? So you have to either roll need on it with 8 people. Your odds are getting about 12.5% in that case. Now, you're guaranteed 1 twine every single week by doing the stupid brain dead go to the welfare queue that is Evil East in Final Fantasy 14. You're guaranteed 1 every single time, whereas before, once a week, you had a 12.5% chance to get 1. On average, you had to run that place like 8 weeks to get 1. Now you get 1 every single week guaranteed. It's so brain dead that they did that. And the fights are poorly designed. It's stupid easy, and they're just giving it away. And look, catch-up content is fine when the other content is already out. Release 350 gear, 360 gear, and then give all the casuals new gear. Don't make it. It's insulting to people that put in the time. Honestly, and it really devalues my experience because I'm doing the fucking welfare shit too now because I feel like everyone else is doing it. If I don't do it, I'm gonna be left behind. I felt good earning my gear the way I was earlier, but now some retards are walking around with better gear than me because they're doing welfare gear.
Look, boys, there's only one hardcore MMORPG left, all right? I'm going to put a video about it. I'm going to put some video on while we talk, but basically, Omar, I hate to break it to you, but this is, like I said, is a genre-wide trend. MapleStory. By the way, you like the fact that MapleStory you can level fast now. You have fun with that, right? But how does it not devalue the experience for someone who spent all the time?
I would argue pre-Big Bang was better.
You would argue that, but you're making characters.
I think
right?
I've played more MapleStory pre-Big Bang than post-Big Bang. And I've gotten characters at higher level post-Big Bang because it's easier to level up. But you could argue that they ruined the experience there too by making it too easy.
Exactly. But I do think this is an industry-wide trend. It's not just Final Fantasy. So are you telling me all these developers, okay, that are independently...
This thought process infects everything. Yeah. This thought process of pandering to casual infects fucking League of Legends.
So they're all
wrong.
Overwatch.
It affects Destiny 2. It affects the entire gaming sector.
So they all independently made the wrong decision.
Because they all are polling their users, and the only people that respond to the polls aren't... The average casual doesn't respond anyway, so the few loud casuals that reply become the voice of the 99% of the casuals that don't reply. The few that do become the voice of that. Because they're the ones that want the easier shit. There are people out there that want to braid that content, 100%. But I don't think they accurately represent the average player. Which is why, again, games like World of Warcraft had bigger player base back when it was more hardcore. And I'm convinced they are making the wrong mistake. They're making mistakes. Look, beautiful example. Look at League of Legends' rank system, right? League of Legends put everyone in bronze. If you're a ranked player in League, bronze 1 is like average if you're League of Legends, right? If you play Overwatch, fucking gold is below average. If you're plat, you're average. Or high gold or plat in Overwatch, you're average. That's bullshit. League of Legends, which has a more honest view of the rank system, at least puts players in the lower echelon. You're bronze. You're a bronze. It's fine. It's okay. You're silver. That's what it means. In Overwatch, you get gold. Everyone gets gold medals in Overwatch. And in Overwatch, there's no merit system to the rank system. You get a fucking golden gun in Overwatch. Literally, it's a participation award. Yeah. It's not a fucking reward. It's a participation trophy. Everybody gets one. You could be the worst player in the world. You could be like closing your eyes and mashing the keys. You'll still get a golden weapon in time because you just grind them over time. It's bullshit. Look at League of Legends as an example that makes the correct choice. League of Legends did not pander to their casual retard audience because they know the casuals don't want the freebies. They realize that they want to make people aspire for shit. Look at League of Legends. In order to get a end of season skin, you have to be a gold player. You know what that means? Top 25%. That means 75% of players every season they get nope, you weren't good enough to get this skin. And that makes those 75% of players like, holy shit, I didn't get this freebie. Even the people that bitch at more on the forums, they don't get it. You can't buy this. There's literally no way to acquire this without being good at the game.
Well, they're making a mistake. What if they charge $5 for that? No, I think people would buy it.
No, if they devalue that content, they would lose players. I think one of the reasons League does well is because they respect the intelligence of their players too with the rank system, and they have ranked rewards that are more meaningful. They don't just gift everyone. Blizzard made the choice of giving everybody free shit, and it really just devalues the game. So I'm saying you can't just say everyone made this mistake independently. Well, I think League didn't make this mistake.
I like how this rant about casual, hardcore versus casual, and you're talking about cosmetic borders or whatever.
You get a reward
or golden guns that don't do anything.
And here's the thing too. Here's the thing. In the newest FF14 content, the Unending Coil of Bahamut, it only drops one weapon, okay? It drops a weapon at the end. Same item level weapon as Omega 4 Savage. And it's slightly better because you can put an extra material slot into it, right? So it is objectively better. But like I bet they could have even added like a cosmetic. Let's say like if you do that, you get like a special special like hat or something. Just maybe not gear necessarily, but some kind of a different robe, a different like some kind of glamour, some kind of pretty looking item. They couldn't even put that there because the casual would bitch. They'd be like, they get this content that we can't have? Free. The idea that like you can there'll be content out there that the casuals can't get is like is insulting to some people, and they bitch and moan about it to the point where it just ruins the game for other people too, because developers listen to the casuals because they think that casual audience represents everybody, but you can't give casuals everything they want, and it gives them no reason to play the game. It takes away, it ultimately ruins their experience. And honestly, I do think my experience in Final Fantasy 14 is being hurt by this stupid welfare coin system for Final Fantasy 14. Before I had to work towards my gear. I had to complete this bullshit and work for it. Now everybody gets this shit.
Well, I do want to talk about Destiny 2. That's a lot of fun with that. But are we gonna be taking viewer opinions on this issue? Or
yeah, if anybody feels strong on this issue, I mean, feel free to hop in. I mean, feel free to hop into our chat and let us know.
Yep. Okay. Then I guess I'm gonna give everyone a few minutes to get settled and decide if they want to jump on Discord. But in the meantime, I do want to talk about Destiny 2 because that is another great example of what's going on. So I was actually really excited for Destiny 2 on PC. I never played Destiny 1. I know they don't call themselves an MMO, but I am proudly calling them an MMO FPS. So there it is. But then I watched this 11-minute video, which I honestly just want to watch with you guys, but it's probably not a good idea just to watch 11 minutes. You know.
You summarize it.
I'll try to summarize it for you guys. Basically. By the way, 100% watch this video, guys. Great video. But he's saying they removed difficulty settings in the campaign, okay? So there's only one difficulty, and it's brain dead. He said you can literally beat levels without firing a shot. You can just run right through the mobs and tank their bullets. If you die, you respawn at the same room you died in, and it clears the room for you of all the mobs. So he's saying basically it's like masturbation, where there's no difficulty, there's no point in playing. And that really got me sad because you got to go through this campaign to get to the end game raids and PvP and all that. But so the first, like, I don't know how long the campaign takes, let's say 10 hours, is just basically nothing. And he makes a great analogy about difficulty and challenge in gaming. See, the point of the game is not to win, it's a challenge, right? And he makes a comparison to golf. Imagine in golf, the reason golf is fun is you use this puck, this bat to hit the little ball into a hole, right? And it's difficult. But imagine you just pick up the ball, walk to the hole, and put it in. At that point, like, it's not a game anymore. It's not fun. It's just tedious. So great example again, and it really makes me not want to play Destiny 2, at least until they patch that, or I want to see how it goes on PC before I buy it now.
I really think that design decision obviously game companies want to make as much money as possible, but I think they are making independently wrong decisions to cater to their casual audience. And the fact that they removed the difficulty option in Destiny, and I've seen that video with you, it seems so brain dead, some of the content. And it is frustrating, honestly, because seeing the games you really enjoy devolving into like more the genre you love, devolving more and more into this casual clusterfuck where everybody gets where they want, nobody has to earn anything. It's really sad for the genre, and I wholeheartly believe it's a bad business decision. Forget my opinions aside, I really think it's a bad business decision. League of Legends does not cater to give everyone free end of year skins for their for their achievements, which they didn't have. You have to actually earn it. Overwatch does it, and every other game now is giving everyone whatever they want, and again, like I said, it's infecting the entire gaming industry, not just MMORPGs,
Yeah, not just
FPS games, MOBAs, everything. We've seen it that this pussification of games, honestly, it really makes gaming just a variation of mobile games to a degree. We make fun of mobile games a lot, but seeing how easy some things become, like again, there is still challenging content in World of Warcraft. You can still do Mythic Raids, right? They're there, but the value gets it gets cheapened by everybody getting freebies or the welfare gear. It's just such a bad concept. I mean, I don't understand why they're doing it. You have why not just wait till the new content comes out, harder content comes out? But I don't understand the mind of the casual either. Why do they think they deserve this best in slot gear that the Raiders worked fucking forever to get? Why do they think they deserve that?
Okay, well, there are some people waiting in Discord about it. They want to. Elion has an eager point to make against you.
All right, so I will love to get him in here. All right, let's hear Ellen's talk.
Drag him up.
Ellen's point. Ellen, welcome to the MMOs.com podcast, and share your opinion. I hear you disagree with me.
Yes, I do. Hello. Okay. Can you hear me?
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good to go. Yep.
Okay. Well, it's a couple things. It's a couple things actually. Firstly, like for some people who play like one class, there are like a few of them. In FF14, it takes like roughly 2.5 months to get like your full creation gear.
Sure.
If there's no way to further upgrade after that, because it will take like 2 months again to get your further gear, they're gonna unsub. So that's money that Square Enix is losing. So
your argument is that if I don't get what I want, I'm gonna unsub. So if I just tell Square Enix I'm gonna unsubscribe if you don't give me the best in slot gear, max level characters, and all the cosmetics, what is that? The point of a game is to earn things, not demand it by unsubbing.
No, it's not. It's just a carrot thread to keep players playing. It's just one reason of why they do it. Another reason was that I believe it was within 3.4 or 3.3 where Yoshi was going. Basically, there was this. If you did the original hardcore coil, the binding coil of Bahamut, you would get like a special scene in the main scenario. The only way you could have gotten this is if you beaten the savage raid basically. However, this was doing Heaven's Ward, so there was Alexander this time. There was a new hardcore raid. Yoshi revealed that only 30% of the current player base had actually cleared Savage Coil.
Only 30%? That number's too high already. What do you mean only 30%?
Well,
that's plenty.
That's 70% of people that haven't.
Do you know what percent of people? Do you know what percent of players that cleared Naxxramas? That even did one boss in Naxxramas in World of Warcraft? Less than 1%.
Yeah, well,
World of Warcraft at that time had more subscribers than it ever did before. During a time where they were focusing on I never did that, by the way. I was the guy in World of Warcraft that I saw Naxxramas floating above Ironforge, and I looked at that shit like, holy moly, I'm gonna do that dungeon one day. And I tried. I got my ass kicked. I was way too shitty. I was a disgusting plebeian. I had no chance of doing it. I would try the first boss with the randoms, and we just get wiped. Let alone the whole dungeon. I got my ass kicked to me, and I loved it. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is so hard. Like nobody can do this shit. I want to do it.
Well, fine. That's fine for you, but as a company, you're looking at 70% of your player base are paying something, and they're not getting anything for it.
World of Warcraft had 99% of World of Warcraft subs did not finish that content, and they were still paying, and they had the most subs.
Don't look at it as a player. Look at it from a developer's point of view.
I am.
You're developing something that people are paying you something, and you're not giving them anything in return.
No, they are. They have a chance. That's all they're
Yeah.
entitled to is a chance. Like
Yeah,
when you yeah.
But also, here's the thing with Final Fantasy. It's a very casual MMO. The rating system, I mean, people who are really serious about it, you can clear the raids within like 2 weeks. Basically.
Actually, I think the most recent raids get cleared in the first day. The way they've been coming
Well,
out lately.
those are the world first groups, but
Yeah.
a casual raid, like
Yeah.
you said, you only started raiding
Yes,
recently, and you're already on O4S, which is like the hardest fight currently.
Mhm.
So, I mean, what does that say about the current state of raiding in the game? It's very
This is the problem with the current state of MMORPG in gaming in general. I think is because these games have catered to casual users, and because you can describe it as a casual game. That's a problem. I think they could make it harder, but they choose
Yeah.
not to because they think that's what the players want. But my
Yeah,
argument
because-
was that that's not what players actually want. They'll make more money if they make content even harder because
No.
people aspire to do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, since it's so easy, why do you think 70% of the people didn't play? I would think it's not because they didn't want to try. It's just because that they didn't care. Because let's face it, the end game in FF14 is glamour. You don't really care
Of
about
course.
the thing of it because aside from savage raiding, what do you need that gear for? Nothing. No boss.
Sure.
No, there's no world boss that requires you to have it.
Of course
And-
not. I know.
And after you beat the final O4S, you get your weapon. What do you need that weapon for anymore? To beat it
But
faster?
obviously, now you're describing a fundamental aspect of MMORPG design. It's all a gear grind anyway. Every MMORPG has always been a gear grind anyway. The point is to be the best. The point is to be, to say you did it. But when
Yeah,
everyone
but-
can say they did it, it devalues the experience of saying you did it.
Yeah, but the
Like,
thing
yes,
is,
you did it. Who gives a shit? You and everybody else did it.
well, what I'm saying is that people don't really care about standing out anymore, like having that shiny armor. I think in FF14, for example, most people just care about being a scantily clad catgirl. That's it. They don't care about having like the best armor or stuff.
Not everyone, but in MMORPG, one of the cool things I've always saw was like, damn, this guy's like wearing this cool ass gear. This guy's awesome. Like, I want to be like this guy one day. Like, there were people, known on the server for being really, really good.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. To keep up the interruption, I'm kind of passionate about this.
That's good.
There's one more thing I wanted to wanted to say, right?
Okay.
When 4.1 dropped on last week Tuesday, what was the one thing, let's say 99% of the population wanted? It wasn't Beyond Savage content. It was the new housing zones.
Oh yeah, I know.
Within 5 minutes, they
yeah.
sold out.
I know. I was there.
Oh, he was there.
So-
He was trying to grab one.
I have a question for you. Do you think that since 99% of the population wanted housing, the resources they put into building Beyond Savage, should they have done that to build more housing wards instead?
Okay, here's where we have to. These are not mutually exclusive things. The housing districts in FF14 comes down to a design decision, and I don't really have a strong opinion either way. Do they want houses to be scarce, or do they want everyone to have houses? It's literally like 2 lines of code. Instead of having set the words from 15 to 100, 200, they have infinite number of housing spots. They're all instances anyway. This does not require immense resource. They're not building literally houses. This is a couple lines of code.
No,
That's
not really.
If not, it shows their incompetence at game design or systems design that they couldn't incorporate scalability when they already had 15.
Well, he said in 4.2 they're going to add more housing wards.
I know.
So that's to prove that they could have done it. They just
Of course they
choose
could have done
not to.
It's a design decision if they want to keep it scarce. I don't know. I don't know what Square Enix is thinking. Do they want them scarce for people to work towards? I don't know.
Because they thought
But you can't give players what they want. If you give everybody what they want.
Well, I think he's making a broader point about so the Beyond Savage content, right?
Yes.
Is going to cater to a very tiny percent of players, and I think the point he's trying to make is, could those resources be used in a way that allows more players to experience more content? So is that an efficient?
Exactly.
Of course, by definition, yes. But I would argue that doesn't mean it's going to be good for the health of the game and the longevity of the game and the enjoyment of the game. Just because everybody gets to experience something doesn't make it more enjoyable.
Yeah,
If this-
but like I
Well, now
yeah.
like he's saying, we got to look at the percent of players and how they play. You're right. There are some players like you, Omar. Okay, that's true. Now the argument now is what percent are like you, and what percent basically log in and played almost like a single player game with a chat room aspect to it, right? where they're not doing raids or not doing hardcore raids. They're just kind of doing their own thing. They're leveling up. They're doing quests, and while they're doing that, they're chatting with their friends. Like,
Yeah, I would argue that
I'd say that's 90% of players.
I would argue that World of Warcraft again was more successful during the time of this, and that's World of Warcraft. I think MapleStory had more players pre-Big Bang as well.
I don't think so.
I'd like to just add one more thing, is that if you look at the market now, there's a lot more saturation of RPGs.
Yes, that's a
course,
good point.
yes, of course.
So,
in 2004, more, yeah. Go on.
So right now you have to try to keep your audience, your customer. You have to keep people playing.
Of course.
Yoshi said they have the highest number of subscribers now
Than
than
they've
they
ever had
ever
before.
had.
Mhm.
So they want to keep that. I mean, if it was 2004, I think two of the biggest MMOs were EverQuest 2 and World of Warcraft. I mean, now you have all these Korean and Chinese MMOs. There's a lot in the market. Once you lose a subscriber, that's it. You lose them forever. And FF14 is a sub MMO, unlike most of these are free to play. So it's a bigger impact when you lose a player.
Here's where we disagree. I don't buy your impact that giving players what they want is a good idea. Again, look at League of Legends, where only 25% of players ever get the ranked rewards of a brand new skin. It's a cosmetic that only 25% of their players get. And why did they dedicate resources to that when 75% of their players get a big lol, you weren't good enough to get this reward every single season? Why'd they do that?
Well,
Would those
you have
resources
to-
be better if everybody gets one?
it would, but then
But why don't? But they're the most successful PC game in the world, and growing every year still.
I thought DFO was the most successful PC game.
What is?
That's
Yeah,
MMO. That's MMORPG, but the game overall is League of Legends.
The most successful PC game in the world, highest grossing revenue is League of Legends. They do 1.8 billion a year.
DFO is also big, but it's the biggest MMORPG.
They make about 850 million or about $1 billion.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to look that League of Legends is free to play.
Yeah, but my point is, again, you would argue that skin everybody should get that skin, because why would you make content only for 25% of
They
your players?
have they if they want to, they can get the skin if they want.
If they want to, they
don't
can
make
complete
it-
Beyond Savage too. They just gotta try harder.
But here's the thing: they don't want to. They don't care.
All
That's
right.
the thing about it.
I want
Because, like I was saying, since rating is so easy, if they want to do, they could. When I wanted to clear like 01 to 4S, I did, and then I stopped because yeah.
But
Actually,
you
no, I
stopped,
still
because,
do that
you stopped because you
from time
did.
to time.
Imagine you didn't do it, you'd still be strong. Anyway, we're going in circles. I'll tell you. What are you gonna say?
I have to make a very important point. You keep going back to these old games like WoW and MapleStory. Look, the gaming market overall today is way bigger. So think of it this way: when we started playing MMORPGs, well, to Ultima Online, okay, before the turn of the millennium here, the number of players, PC gamers, okay, was so low worldwide, right? Basically, every single person you met in Ultima Online, every single person you met in EverQuest, was in today's standards a hardcore player, because those are the guys that were like
That's true as
figuring
well.
out how the computers work, figuring out how these online, they were
That's not
paying.
the same with World of Warcraft. That's agreed with Ultima Online and EverQuest, because those were in 1999, 1998.
World of Warcraft was 2004. It's pretty old
Yes,
now.
years later. Again, it had millions of subscribers. It peaked well after,
Yes. But here's what happened since then, Omar. One, a lot of those players, okay, went. But oh, by the way, a lot of those players probably were not happy with that. Just because you were doesn't mean they automatically were. And two, those players left the MMORPG genre probably because they found it too difficult. They went to easier genres. And then not to mention that there's so many more games today that they got filtered into those. So it's difficult for one game to capture the market that WoW did back then.
Yeah, that's precisely right. Omar, the market between now and then has changed, and Omar keeps bringing up I forget this MOBA,
League of Legends.
League of Legends. Yeah, well, when you look at it too, that's MOBA, and FF4 and games like FF14 and World of Warcraft, they're MMORPGs. I would like to think that they're separate genres.
Yes.
Design content.
But
is
Omar,
still-
if you're gonna compare it, Omar, then I'm gonna compare it to Dota. I think one of the reasons League did so well actually is because it was a total pussy version of Dota. You don't lose gold when you die. There's no denying. Smaller map, smaller, much less complicated map, much less complicated heroes. The reason it took off was because there were obviously millions of people who just could not get into
Those
Dota,
are simple
but they
design
wanted to.
decisions, and that there's high skill players in both games. Both games require a tremendous amount of skill in the high end as well. Yeah, I think Dota requires a higher skill ceiling, but
And a
you go
learning
that whole
curve.
different. You go down a whole different rabbit hole. Two different.
I don't think so.
Different design decisions.
Yeah, casual versus hardcore
Anyway.
design decisions.
Anyway, I want to get Chaos into this discussion as well.
Okay.
I'm waiting.
Thank you, Elliot.
Elliot, I appreciate you
thank
sharing
you.
your opinion, even if you disagree. We'll have to agree to disagree for the time being. Take care for now. Great. All right, we get Chaos. All right, Chaos, what's up?
Howdy.
Howdy ho. Please tell me you agree with me. I said backup.
I totally and absolutely agree with you.
All right, let's hear it.
Think about Jet, right? Remember when
Okay.
playing Maple Story?
Mhm.
I played for hours straight getting Jet, and as soon as I got that ability, I was done. Because
Exactly.
It was something to aspire to.
Okay, so
Right.
for the people in the back that don't know what's going on, Chaos and I were playing Maple Story earlier. There was this really badass. We were playing different classes and we were walking around fields and we saw some Jet character, one of the classes in the game, doing this amazing ability that would just blow up the entire screen with these giant battleships in the background, right? And we're both like, "Holy fuck, that looks awesome!" Right? And then Chaos makes a character for that. He's like, "I'm gonna fucking get that ability." So he makes a new character. Because the game is so brain dead easy and fast now, he's able to get whatever level you need to get that ability in like a day of casual play. So now that he gets that ability, he looks like a badass, right? But he quits after he gets it.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely the ability to aspire to something is what keeps you playing. MMOs in general are just like a giant sunken cost fallacy. You get invested in stuff because you want it, and you just keep playing because you want it. It's just all sunken cost.
I really wish I didn't do my Shinryu EX clear yesterday in FF14 because I spent last 2 days doing it, right? And then I finally did it, right? I'm like, fuck, I did it now. Now what, right? I fucking already finished it. I as frustrating as wiping was and yelling at my retard teammates for failing, like once you do it, you just once you have something, it fucking sucks. It's just
You guys seem to be describing a personal problem more than a game.
No, this applies to everyone.
Guys, Maple Story is like what 12 years old now. While World of Warcraft is like 15, 14 years old. I mean, you got even Final Fantasy 14 is, it's aging. At some point, guys, these games, they're not meant to last forever. Just because you did everything doesn't mean it's the game should just keep catering to your, keep escalating the ceiling.
Do you agree with that Spock quote? That's something
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
but having agreed to that, right? And I think most people can agree that there's some validity to that. When you want something, it's usually sometimes better than actually having it, right?
Okay.
But here's the problem when feedback comes into play. So imagine the developer asks people, "What do you want?" And they all say they want all this good all this free shit. And then once they get that free shit, did they really get what they wanted? No. They want to strive to get it. They want to struggle to get it. They need meaning to get it. But if you can't pull this out when you just do surveys. This shit gets lost in the surveys, and they get what they want, and the game becomes shit.
I hate to break it to everyone here, guys, but a lot of people find challenge and meaning in other activities in their life, and for them, gaming is like what it is for your grandma. She wants to connect those goddamn bejeweled coins. All right, that's what she's gaming for. She wants to connect the 3 red jet rubies and get some points. All right, that's what she cares about. Now, you cannot deny that there are millions of new gamers, okay, entering these genres. That can. By the way, Final Fantasy 14. I bet some people play on PlayStation, right? So these guys are not going to be hardcore raiders. These are they're not capable. They're 50 years old. They came home from work. They just want to walk around and talk to their friends and decorate their house. So and this is 90% of players. I don't know why you guys are surprised by this. There are still games that cater to what you guys are saying. But I don't understand why you think every game, especially older games, should stick to this formula.
Because people still aspire to things in that. If they're going and building the house, they want more shit for their house.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Like they'll grind up crafting skills and that type of thing because it lets them make the better shit and the cooler.
The ultimate example would be Rust, right? Imagine Rust. Okay, we spend so much fucking time in Rust cutting those goddamn trees down, right? Why? To build a fort, right? To build a base. Build the best base ever. Imagine they ask their players, "Yo, do you want a base? Do you want a free base?" They all said yes. Everybody gets a free base. They all quit the next day. The idea of progressing and earning and grinding is what makes the game fun. So you can't just pull people and ask what they want.
Having agreed to that, why should a game be more difficult than Animal Crossing, where you like fish or whatever, and then you
it's not about difficulty. It's about working towards stuff.
Yeah, you do that. You do that in Animal Crossing. Look, I believe a not tiny percent of players to play MMORPGs today are basically trying to play Animal Crossing, like an online Animal Crossing. That is their goal when they buy the game, sub to the game, play the game. Okay, that is the percent of people that fall into this category. I believe is 20 times bigger than the percent that fall into the category you guys are describing.
No, because I think a lot of those players strive to be able to do something. Some of the content.
No, I think they're good with the Animal Crossing.
And look, I think the gentleman earlier was saying that 30% of people cleared the Coil content back in the day, the old Coil content, right? 30%. That 30% that cleared it, right? Do you know what they were doing? They were doing it nonstop till they learned how to do it, right? And they would have kept doing it nonstop if they weren't able to clear it so easily. Look, if I didn't clear Shinryu yesterday, I would still be grinding it today. I'd be grinding it tomorrow. I'd be doing it till I can overcome it. Overcoming this challenge and earning rewards in MMORPGs is some of the most fun gaming experiences I have. And clearly, not just me. Remember, 30% of players were struggling to, and they did complete the first Coil Savage. Why did they do it? The fact that they completed it means they were doing it nonstop until they did it. So the moment they got what they wanted, they're done. That fun is over there. Somebody in the chat was saying that he just finished Omega 4 and then now he's done. He's just going through the motions now until the new shit comes out.
It's super essential too in an MMO in particular because it keeps people social. Like the social element of MMOs is
it's huge.
By the way, guys, their sub numbers have been bigger than ever. So how do you respond to that?
What
they didn't.
Final Fantasy 14? Yes.
Well, didn't the expansion just come out?
Expansion just launched.
Okay.
That's why.
Like they just had a brand new content patch. Of course they're going to have. It's like saying, "Well, I wonder why Warframe now has 4 times the player base."
Okay,
well, they just had the biggest content patch ever.
Yeah. Well, then whatever their plan has been for the past year in terms of difficulty or whatever is pretty good, right? I mean, it seems to be working. Also, guys, I still want. So you guys seem to be arguing that the developers are making a mistake, right? Then you haven't described to me. You haven't answered this question for me. How is it that every single
not everyone League of Legends did it correctly in terms of
I don't know. Let's look at RPGs just to make it simpler.
We look at the content aspect where only 25% of players in League, ranked players in League, ever get access to that skin, that reward. Look, it's a reward, right? Only 25% get that reward. Why is that different than a piece of gear in FF14 or a piece of gear in WoW, where only maybe 5% people get it, 20% people get it? Why does everybody have to get a piece of gear?
Well, because in the MMORPG genre,
because they all want it.
Every single developer across the world, China, Korea, America, Europe, have come to the independent conclusion that this is what people want.
Incorrectly.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you say so, but I think you would have to prove the point there more so than you have.
Again, all I got right now is WoW subscriber numbers too, and of course the most powerful statistic and evidence in the world, my gut.
Anecdotal evidence,
guys. More importantly,
here's my evidence right here.
More importantly, boys, PvE is not hardcore. I don't care. Like, I don't know. I don't get what you guys are. Also, Omega. Apparently, Omar was pugging it, right? If you can pug something, it's not hardcore. Sorry, guys. Sorry to burst your bubble. You can't pug. You want to play hardcore, guys? Go play EVE Online. I feel like it's still there. It's waiting for you.
Every MMORPG today has puggable late game content now.
I don't know. Then it was always. Then it's easy. It's been easy. Then I don't know.
We're fine. Maybe I'm arguing varying degrees of casualness. Then sure, whatever.
If you can pug it, it's casual.
All right. Anybody else want to share their opinion on this? I think we get a quick from Taliath and Pyrocat in chat, and then we'll move to a different topic. Thanks for sharing your opinion, Cass, and joining us.
We're 1-1 so far, so this will be the tiebreaker.
All right, Pyrocat, what's up, dude? You want to share your opinion on easiness in MMORPGs?
Yes. So one thing that will give this some gravitas is I have been with Final Fantasy 14 since literal 1.0. So okay. I think that my opinion has a lot of weight.
All right, well, let's hear it.
3 degrees of hardcoreness too. Okay, so first of all, the original relic weapon used to be super hard to get, right? Okay. Because you had to clear the hardest dungeon in the game, then you had to clear the 3 hardest trials up at that point to clear something, and then do a bunch of other stuff that was just really insane. I mean, it took like 8 hours of doing things, not just running the same content over and over again to get this weapon. Now, so there's several things I'm going to go with this. So like there's this, I forgot the name, it was like AK, I forgot the name of the dungeon, on Dumport Keep. So they nerfed this dungeon so hard because what used to happen, and this is how much harder Final Fantasy is now than it used to be. Because it used to be super casual. It's actually harder now than it used to be. Okay. So there used to be the demon wall, and during that demon wall, 2 bees would spawn, and you would have to dodge because if it knocked you off, you were dead for the entire fight. 2 bees during this, 2 bees would spawn, and if you didn't DPS those bees down, they would just one-shot the tank or whoever they were on, in addition to having to move and dodge as the floor is going. So it's like, and that, like, there were like, I don't remember why, but it was just rages all over the place because there were people who could not get past that simple mechanic, and that was the first boss.
Mm-hmm.
So like, the whole patch and making it easier. Like, to be fair, if you don't clear a Final Fantasy the raid in like the first 3 or 4 weeks, most people won't consider you hardcore because by the time there's like 50 guides teaching you every single mechanic to make it easier, you know, most people are going to look at you. In fact, when you're looking and applying for the really hardcore raids, they will look at your achievements, which are the real hardcore measurement in Final Fantasy, and see when you got that achievement because they'll know when things were nerfed. Because right now everyone's overtuned.
Mm-hmm.
When the raid first comes out, there are no guides to follow. That's when it's hardcore. They're like, oh, here's this strat that we're using. Like I remember when I was doing turn 5 for the first time, and they came up with this. And that's the really cool thing. I don't know if it happens anymore because I haven't done raiding since second coil. Where people go, oh, there's this new strategy, because it would come up where like they clearly had the way of that they would want you to clear it, but someone would come up with like some sort of thing that wasn't quite an exploit, but that would make it easier. Like the dive mechanic in turn 5. Originally, you would have to like just run around randomly in order to avoid the dive.
I need you to answer the simple question first. All right,
Yeah.
Is making the content pussification good or bad? You describe
I think that Final Fantasy has the right way of doing it.
Boom. That's a vote for me, baby.
That's a vote for
Because, and here's why. Because they still have things that are only meant for hardcore players, such as the achievements. Because no matter what gear you have, which will be throwaway in a couple of weeks anyway, you will not get that achievement. And they even made it even better by if you look at whatever was the last raid, by having minions and pets and mounts exclusive to raids. So if you don't clear it and have it drop and craft it, you won't have it. They're also adding that more for PvP, where they had that PvP Batman looking armor that was only like the top 10%. So in fact, they're moving more hardcore, not less hardcore than it used to be.
That's a good point. So Final Fantasy, with the current, everything ebbs and flows, but it seems from what he described that over the years it's actually gotten more hardcore.
Well, I do want to say again, the 4.1 Evilise, the 24-man raids, the previous raids also had the same mechanics and the same system where you would get welfare gear. So I'm not saying that I didn't make the argument that it's getting easier. I'm describing the genre as a whole, and this was just another example of welfare gear.
What I'm saying is the gear doesn't matter because it's the achievements. Because you could be.
Well, nothing matters. It's a game.
I'm just saying that like so right now, because you're like, okay, it gives you a special status. But if you have welfare gear or whatever gear, you try to go to the hardcore raid statics, they're not going to look at your gear. They're going to look at your achievements. The achievements are the real measure.
Maybe you're applying to world's first group. Not average raiders. Not even look at your stats.
Even the average rage group, yes. At least
no, they don't. Anyone get to an 04. I get to an 04 pug
because
tomorrow.
You're talking right now. This is overtuned. After 4 weeks, people already had their gear.
No,
like yes, I'm telling you, the way it works is because people do statics. So because you're at the overtune part. So after the first month, it's irrelevant because after the first month, people are running with the same people over and over again. So they have enough gear in order to just carry other people. So after the first month, anyone who clears it is basically irrelevant.
All right. Well, again, we'll have to agree to disagree. I mean, I think anyone's
we'll have to agree to agree.
All right. I want to get Ether here before we change topics. Thanks for sharing your opinion, Burkat. All right, let me grab Ether real quick. All right, last opinion here on this contentious issue of MMORPGs and pussification. What's up, Ether?
Share your thoughts, baby.
And we lost him.
No, he's
in, he's out. Bada bing, bada boom.
Well, unless he comes back, Omar, I think the vote is 2-1.
Indeed.
So, Discord crash. He's coming back.
I just really hate this trend of pandering to casuals in every game. Honestly, like they take it too far. I think you can have all the casual pander. You can have almost all of it. Just give raiders one thing, one fucking thing. Don't give people best in slot gear before they get new gear for the hardcore. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for the world here. I'm asking for one thing.
Dude,
delay this free casual shit. Turn the welfare off.
You're getting what you want, man. They're gonna add the new difficulty soon, right?
Dude, it's not out. It won't add any. It won't add any new better gear. There's no new higher level gear from there.
But here's my question to you then: why, in your mind, does prestige and accomplishment is so tied to gear? Why can't, like he said, Talich? Why can't it be tied to your achievements or title, or like why does it have to be gear in your mind? As long as it's still a distinguishing factor, that can be the sense of elitism.
Let me drag Ether in here. All right, Ether, share your opinion on this issue before we jump topics. We've been here for a little bit.
Thank you. I was going to do it, but then Discord decided to crash. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
My opinion is more on Remo's side or Mare's side.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that in general, I'm going to just use MMORPGs as an example. There's an increase spent on casualization for the aforementioned issues that were mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel that as somewhat of a level designer, businesses, more so than level designers, have built a caricature of what casual gamers actually want.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most casual gamers, from what I've talked to, don't actually care that they don't get the best gear or best stuff. They're fine with the lower difficulty ones, but they don't communicate it on the forums and whatnot. So what ends up happening is the business people, they end up looking at the people who are complaining the most, which is probably a really small portion, not probably, most likely. And because of that, they overtune it or undertune it for those people. Mm-hmm. And they're neglecting the core audience or the hardcore audience.
Yeah, my argument, but when they do that, they devalue and shit on the experience of the hardcore people that really, put in the hours to get that gear.
Oh,
and they're not helping the casual audience either, because only very few people actually were complaining about it.
I want to contest this point that both of you have made now, that the developers are making these decisions based on complaints or some kind of feedback from vocal casuals. This would be true for one game or another, but I believe even new games are launching with much lower skill caps these days. Because it seems to be like something that's established, globally at this point. It doesn't seem to be like one studio or two, coming to this conclusion. It seems to be a global trend.
Ready for the checkmate? Ready? Flappy Bird took over the world. Game was fucking hard. Nobody can get one. The average player couldn't get a score of like 3. All right?
I'm talking about MMORPGs.
Checkmate.
Okay.
Got him. Hashtag got him.
Okay. Sorry to butt in over here, but what I feel has happened is, though, businesses from previous experience looking at other games, they build up a caricature of what the casual gamer wants, the lowest common denominator and whatnot, and focus on that to the detriment of casual gamers, core gamers, and hardcore gamers. I'll close up on this point. It's okay that certain games are designed for certain audiences. Some can be harder, some can be more casual. There is room for casual games, core games, and hardcore games. And by focusing on the lowest common denominator, or something that barely exists, like the very vocal casual players who can't succeed on this, they're really devaluing everything and making all the experiences less valuable. After all, we already saw that Spock quote of how wanting is greater than having. After all, the things that we value in life the most are the ones we have to work the hardest for. The things that we don't work as hard for, we don't value as much. That's what I'll close up on.
I agree wholeheartedly. And again, I think you and I are echoing generally the same thoughts.
Well,
glad to be on the same page.
It's a 2-2 tie this week, but I think the market is speaking loud and clear.
All right. Thank you, Ether. I want to address what you just said over there.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so here's the issue. When Stacy puts A on her answer for question 7, and fucking Bill copies that answer, and everyone copies off Bill, doesn't mean like that was the logical conclusion. Stacy could be the smartest girl in class, but if she got that question wrong, everyone just cheats off her. That's what's happening, I think. Everyone's kind of building off of everyone else's mistakes. And the games, again, I wish I had more examples, but again, I have the league example in terms of giving out rewards to a small percent of players. Gold in league, again, is like 20% of your players only get gold. 80% of people just can't do it. No matter how much they bitch and moan, they're not going to get it. The idea of wanting and working towards something is good. And I think if they made everyone get that skin for free, it would devalue it, even for the people that are crying for it. The people that are bitching on the forums for this easier to be able to do this content, and they end up getting it. They're devaluing their own experience in the end.
Look, how much credence do you give to my point that the average gamer today, okay, his skill level is lower? Because
I agree. You're right. Yes, you're right.
The number of gamers is 10x, maybe 20x from what it was when we started, right? Or not even started, but like Even like even 15 years ago, I think it took a lot more to be a PC gamer than today.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Of course. But they can coexist, is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to alienate your more hardcore. Remember, I'm not saying the top 1.1% of the top, if 10% of people in Final Fantasy 14, I don't know what the number is that clear Omega 1 to 4, right, today. That's a good chunk of players. Why would you want to alienate them? The casual players will not get upset if they can get better rewards. That's what I'm starting to say. I don't think anyone would have complained if the casuals didn't get their welfare gear until next patch, or the patch after that where they have better gear for the hardcore. That's all I'm trying to say.
Look,
I'm not trying to say shit on the casuals.
Look, you're right. There's a happy medium there that kind of makes it's enough content for everyone. But as Talich said, I believe Final Fantasy is doing a better job than most at this. The game got harder over the years. They're adding a new difficulty mode that's dedicated just to like the world first guilds. So I think honestly they're the most receptive to your point. So I'm surprised that you're attacking them specifically so hard. But with that said, guys, we've been on this topic for an hour. That leaves 20 minutes for everything else. There's a couple big stories this week, so we should at least point them out before we wrap up here.
Let's look at a few biggies.
All right, what do you want to start with first?
Warframe's Plains of Island update went live this last week. My buddy Cash has been playing it nonstop. It's a huge update for the game. They have the player base jumped to all-time highs, and I was saying this in the pregame too, and I want to say this again. The best games out there, the most successful, the good games, their launch schedules don't look like jump in player base and then a collapse. Like, there's a lot of meme games out there, like Conan Exiles being one of them, that do really well at launch, and all the big streamers play it, everybody plays it, and it dies down, right? But a game like Warframe, it continuously builds up their audience over the years it's been out, constantly compounding with the network effect, adding more players, and the concurrent player base always keeps increasing. Good games look like that. Shit games and meme games look like up, down. So my point is, with Warframe, it's always been a steady jump up, right? Steady climb up. And obviously with this expansion, it's a big jump up. They reached a new high of all-time concurrent players just this last week with Eidolon, and the numbers are over 100K concurrent, which is insane for Warframe. It's like a double from the average in the last 30 days. So they're booming.
This update reminds me a lot of the recent expansion for Path of Exile, and I think the two games are very similar. One is sci-fi, one is fantasy, of course, but I found the subtitle of this expansion very interesting for Warframe. It's actually called Plains of Eidolon. And if you take the abbreviation for that, it's PoE, which is Path of Exile. And they added a persistent hub like towns, kind of like what Path of Exile has. So I don't know if that was like a nod at Path of Exile or just a coincidence. I really don't know, but it would be a cute little a nod at them if that was the case.
That'd be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and right. The two games placed differently, but I do think they're very similar.
And actually, Warframe is kind of similar to Destiny as well, from everything I've heard of Destiny. I've never actually played Destiny yet, but it's a free-to-play version, so free-to-play Destiny. Go play Warframe instead. Yeah,
it's one of those. I think the gaming community in general undervalues Warframe. It's been there. It's been growing for years. It's definitely worth playing. I think people will be surprised by the quality of a free-to-play game like this.
Yeah, I think free-to-play kind of gets a bad rep as well, and I think the reason for that is there was a period between like 2007 to 2012, I would say, where literally so many shit free-to-play games launched. We're talking the dumpster fire of free-to-play games. Area had a new shitter, a new duker every week. Every week there was a new duker launching, and everyone's like, they tried to build up the hype, right? And they would spend a lot of money on marketing, which was great for us back then, right? But like they would spend all this money on marketing, hyping up these trailers, and the game was absolute trash, right? So everyone got excited, and they were let down. Excited, let down. And through a series of years and years of this nonsense, free-to-play, I think, got kind of a bad rep of like being shit. So a lot of people just view free-to-play as bad because of their experiences with like Duker Online from Area Games, or Three Kingdoms piece of shit online from this company. There's just so many bad games in free-to-play during that, and they've all since shut down, obviously. So the remaining free-to-play games are fine, but there were just so many bad games back then, and it really ruined the name free-to-play.
You know what I found amusing? This might be a little racist, but that's always fun. So free-to-play came from the East, obviously, from Asia, the model. But the companies that I feel did it the best are all Western. Riot Games, League of Legends, MOBA. You have Warframe, Path of Exile. These are great games, top of their genre.
Isn't Path of Exile from New Zealand?
Yeah, that counts as the West.
That's Eastern. That's Eastern Japan. We're going all the way there.
Oh, come on. It's
Come on,
west.
it's on the east side.
It's what? America is east too. Then it was. It was
I guess if you go east enough,
depends where you go. No, it's western. All right.
All right, fine, fair, whatever.
But
But the league is owned by your Chinese Chinese overlords.
nowadays, yes. But Omar, people are waiting for your second look at Warframe. So a little bit of a
I do have to play a bit of Warframe.
yeah. Get
I
Chaos
definitely-
Shield
yeah,
to and
Yeah,
Sock to
carry
give
me.
you a run.
Not a bad idea. Yeah, the game's player base numbers all time high. And speaking of all time player base numbers, PUBG and Fortnite are
my
absolutely
God.
killing it. I always knew that PUBG would do well after playing the alpha, the closed beta rather, and it was buggy back then. 2.2 million concurrent subs, which is insane. Listen, guys, about a little over a third of all people on Steam yesterday were playing PUBG. Of everyone over the weekend that was on Steam playing a game, over 1/3 of them was playing PUBG. It's almost like Steam became a PUBG platform.
Yes, that is surprising. I honestly, Omar, me made a side bet. I don't think we ever announced it publicly, but I did not think that PUBG would pass Dota 2 in peak concurrent players. But it's going
More
to
than
double. It's going to double.
It almost tripled it.
Well, peak. I like the peak, but it's still
1.29.
Yeah, here. These are the top games of all time by their peak concurrent on Steam. So PlayerUnknown's is at 2.2. Dota is at 1.29. So at this rate, it's gonna double it. That's crazy to me.
Mhm.
Man.
That's nuts. And Fortnite is doing well too. Just last week, they announced they had 7 million players in Fortnite Battle Royale. Now they have 10 million. So the numbers are going up and up and up for Battle Royale. So it's nuts.
And neither of these games have launched on consoles yet. I believe these are both very console-y games. Like they're very easy to port to console. You know, the quick, basic controls. So I think they're gonna do really well on consoles as well.
Yeah.
So
Terra's actually coming to console as well soon. I mean,
That's
speaking
true.
of Bluehole, Terra said they were going to be in console by the end of the year, and since then we've heard nothing. But it was playable, I think, at PAX in September. So I think they'll be able to meet their own deadline by the end of the year. And I think Terra, it's been stagnated, declining on PC, but because it's an action MMORPG, I think it'll do well on console. I think Black Desert are going to absolutely kill it on console too. Both those games are going to find like potentially double their player base. I mean, both these games will do amazing on console, I think.
yeah, I think so too. Do you think that desert map is gonna get
Oh yeah,
player
huge
unknowns
numbers
to
for PUBG.
2.6 at least?
Oh, easy. The numbers are it's unbelievable. Numbers are up 10% over last week for PUBG. 10% on concurrent players. When your numbers are already 2 million, to go from 2 million to 2.2 million in a week is insane. So they're making mad bank.
Alright.
Actually, this week actually been pretty light on actual MMORPG news as well. I mean, really, I remember my news video. I was really struggling to find stuff to talk about because
Well, there's the Moo Legend announced their open beta date, November 7th.
we actually had that before. It was 2 weeks ago. They announced that date,
alright.
November 7th. People were asking about. I think they did reveal their founders packs. Personally, I'm not a founders pack guy. I mean, people ask me what I think about the founders packs, but like, I don't know. I'll just wait till the game comes out and play it then. And if I after I get invested, I'll do it because I feel like with founders packs you spend money, right? And then you might like a game, but like unless you really played a lot, you don't get your money's worth, and you kind of feel stupid if you end up buying founders pack and not getting your value out of it. So I never want to be in a situation where I buy something and like I get no use out of it. So for that reason, I don't like buying founders packs. I don't mind paying a little more, even if it's you get these bundle deals and shit. But like if you wait for sales and stuff, you still get good deals.
That gives me a good idea for next week's weekly raid. Have you ever actually been happy with your? No.
That part I don't know.
Everyone's had a situation where they bought a founder's pack and regretted it. That's obvious.
Yeah,
but I want to know if there's ever been a time where you bought a founder's pack and you were very happy with your decision, like no reservations. You really liked it. So that'd be interesting. I want to hear what game people feel like they got their money's worth there.
Who is it? Nope. I regret Albion Online. eFan says nope. Albion Online player base actually been in decline. I think somebody mentioned on the Reddit forums only 50k people gained fame this last week, so it was about 120k at launch. So active player base has about halved in the 2 months it's been out.
Yeah, the Half-Life. You know what's funny? I don't know what the word for it is. But I think Twitch, really amplified this whole the bang and then the subsiding of player bases for games. Like if a new game launches and it has like 2 or 3 big streamers behind it, that game's gonna be so huge that first like day 2, 3, 4, and then just it disappears off the radar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how much streamers have changed the dynamics of advertising, right? So if you're a big game, you have to like get the big streamers on board. Like you don't have to, but like I think it's actually money well spent because I mean, one streamer I like personally is Destiny. I don't watch too many streamers myself, really. Destiny's probably the only one, and I mainly watch his YouTube videos. I don't really watch too many live streams a lot myself. But he mentioned in one of his videos that I think Gigantic paid him like $4,000 to play for about 2 weeks, or one or 2 weeks, 2 hours a day, right? And $4,000 is a good chunk of change, right? But if you think about it this way, if they just spent that $4,000 on banner ads on the internet, like websites like MMOs.com, like MMORPGs.com, gaming websites, right? I think you get almost no value out of that. Like $4,000 to
Whoa!
buy
Don't tell people that. Keep advertising with us.
That's true. Real talk. Companies will pay us like sometimes like I think Revelation Online paid us like $3,000, right? To run site skins on MMOs.com. Like we did big banners all over the site. We did the banners as well as the takeovers. So a lot of ads for Revelation Online, right? They paid like $3,000 for like a month. But real talk, people see that and they're not gonna click into it and play the game. Like some people did, obviously, but like a couple hundred maximum, like downloaded the game from there. And is that really worth $3,000? I don't think so. I'd rather pay Destiny like $4,000 to play the game for 2 weeks, and you'll get more value out of that. And I think streamers are actually unbelievably effective for advertising, even if it costs like 4K. And Destiny's not the biggest streamer out there. If you want to get like the 20K viewer people, it's still worth it, I think. So, I mean, that's like it really, I think, changing the way advertising is working for games. So I think you're going to see a lot of shilling going on, because even if the people tell them like if Perfect World tells Destiny like, here's money, play our game. Like, even if they don't tell them, like, you got to say nice things, there's some implication there. You know, they're not shit on the game. So it's going to kind of make things a little more confusing for people, more misleading. Maybe that's why it's really effective. But that might be another issue. Like, is that questionable, or should that be allowed?
I mean, I think so. It's fine, especially if they're open enough to say that they got paid. You know?
Yeah, that's true too. As long as they mention that it's paid, it kind of covers. But you kind of, you hold back. Look, I've done it too. Like I still kind of shit on games that pay us because I've done YouTube videos for a couple games that paid us like $300 to make a YouTube video for them. It was like this Naruto Online game, for example. I think they gave us $300. It's Naruto Online, and I said like this is just another pay to win nonsense. It plays itself. It's another Chinese nonsense game that plays itself, right? But like the thing I said was it is the best of this kind of game, which I was actually being honest. Like because it was made by Tencent, it's called Naruto Online, by the way. It was made by Tencent. It was actually the best of that kind of game, but it was still shit. And I still said it was kind of bad and not my cup of tea. But like, I don't know. I probably the money can always distort your view of things. And like, if the money was really big, I might have said if they gave me like $5,000, I wouldn't say it's shit. I would say it's like I would hold back on my negative comments if they gave me that much money.
The more money they give you guys, the better the game gets. All right.
Yeah, and there you go. And like, I'm only human, right? Like, if they give you $5,000 for like this one video, fuck, you're gonna tell them you're gonna say some nice ass things. But for $300, I just kept it legit, right? Because I don't give a shit for $300.
Yeah, but back to Mu Online or Mu Legend for a bit. This is one of those games that I'm gonna play, and as a break from like Path of Exile. But like, I feel like it's one of those games that like I know is not gonna be amazing, but it's gonna be like good enough to like put some time into. It just seems like one of those one hand on the mouse, leaning back on the keyboard, and just play for a few hours kind of game, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. I played the closed beta 1 and 2, and both times like you really can just lounge and just turn your brain off and just grind and kill shit and have fun. Like, so yeah, I see myself playing that as well for a while as a break for Final Fantasy 14 because I've been playing quite a bit of that lately and having a lot of fun doing it.
This is a nice gift that was linked in chat.
Let me take a look. This is actually how it works, though. This is such a good gift. Holy shit.
Well, this gift actually helps us segue into the next point here. Next story. IGN bought Humble Bundle, the company behind Humble Bundle, I guess, which is just called Humble.
Humble Inc.
Humble Inc. What do you think of that?
I always thought they were like a nonprofit or something. I don't know.
I did too. Was that some charity thing? I don't know.
Well, there was some charity stuff involved, but like you kind of forget that it was always a business from the beginning, right? But like putting the charity shit in there made them a lot of money. Like, it got them a lot of goodwill too, because I feel like we're all kind of charitable anyway, and if we can like get products that we would buy anyway and like feel like we're doing something good about it, hell yeah, we're gonna do it. Which is why so many of us bought shit on Humble Bundle. But like, yeah, it's a for-profit company, and they're probably making lots of money actually. So, yeah. I mean, good for them. IGN's gonna make me mad. I think it was a good buy for IGN, depending how much they paid, obviously. But Humble Bundle has been on a tear. They're still growing.
Do you guys remember the good old days when you could actually just pay a penny before they made the minimum $1? Because
Oh man, they ruined it.
yeah, they would actually lose money because you pay with a credit card and they only paid
Mhm.
a penny. Obviously the transaction fees are more than that.
So Altai was the guy that left a penny on his name your own price on there, obviously.
I'm proud, baby. No regrets about that.
Hashtag no regrets. I'm actually signed up to the $10 a month the monthly subscription for them. So I get a bunch of games every month. It's nice.
That's good.
It's a nice thing. I don't think I've played a single one of them just yet, but it's actually funny. Actually, side note, I did buy the DLC for Doki Doki Literature Club only because I played the game and it was free. I'm like, you know what? I want to give money to the developer, right? So I go to his website, and he's got no like PayPal button. Like, I can't donate to this guy. The only way I can give him money is through buying like the soundtrack, and like you buy a soundtrack and you buy wallpapers for $10. Like I paid money for wallpapers, guys, but purely out of trying to donate money to the developer of it's a visual novel, Doki Doki Literature Club. So that's the first thing. That's the first time I bought like one of those add-ons on Steam, like a bundle on Steam or like some kind of additional thing.
All right. Well, at least you tried.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. Awesome game. I might put that on YouTube eventually, but it's a 5-hour video.
Maybe you can maybe you can spend an hour like editing it.
Editing. Who does that?
We'll see.
Maybe. All right.
All right. Well, another quick thing I want to talk about real quick. Maybe you guys haven't heard about this. So the guys who founded Riot Games, right, have decided they're going to step down from active management of League of Legends to work on a new game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they've probably been sitting on the executive chair for too long. I think they were in their blog post. They wrote about like how much fun I guess it was to be in the trenches, And when your company gets so big, it was like they kind of got delegated to the boss role where they don't have as much active involvement. So I guess they've been sitting in the executive chair a bit too long and macromanaging this nonsense, macromanaging rather. So now they want to get back to actually making games. So they might actually get that S back in Riot Games one day, but we'll have to see.
I honestly, it's been so long that I don't have much hope that they'll ever make another game.
That's the thing. I agree with you. It's been too long, which is why I was always kind of questionable about Star Citizen. Like, I think again when that first Kickstarter for Star Citizen came out, Shrelia, my friend, links me that Kickstarter. Like, holy shit, it's Chris Roberts, dude. He made fucking Wing Commander. I'm so hyped for this game, and I don't know if she donated or not, but she was mega hyped for Star Citizen. I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, the Wing Commander, it was pretty cool, right? I never played it, but everyone fucking tells me it was amazing. But like, what has he done since? He had a couple stints at like these other games, but there's a couple of games he made with Microsoft that never came out. But like, when you're out of the loop that long, I feel like the odds of making something great after that, it kind of diminishes after you've been away. But I hope, who knows? Maybe they'll make something amazing. I really hope they do, because League of Legends is a great game, but I don't think it was really too innovative. They took the Dota model, made it easier and free to play. Boom, that was League of Legends.
Yeah, some people are asking for the link. Here it is. And this is not the first time we've had hints like this. I remember like a year ago, we got we put a news post up on MMOs.com about Riot hinting at a new game because they bought out the studio.
Rising Thunder people.
Yeah, Rising Thunder, some 2D fighting game.
Fighting game.
Yeah, and so they bought out the studio. They shut down the game, and we thought they'd work on a new game, but apparently not.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Again, it's even if they did, we won't hear anything for at least a year. Like, even if they're working on a game, they didn't even announce it yet. They didn't even announce they're working on a game yet. So it's gonna be a while to get it done. But who knows? I mean, they did something really, really good. They have the money, they got the resources. So clearly they're really smart guys. So I'm rooting for them still, even though odds are low. But I think they got the moolah.
Well, I have some good news for you. All right, time for some good news. Okay.
I like good news.
You like hardcore games, and there is still room for this market because there was a launch recently that made a lot of headway on Twitch, Cuphead, which you did play with me briefly.
Yep.
Yeah, this game came out 2 weeks ago, and it has sold over 1 million copies. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's not cheap either. I think it's like $20 or $30, and
$20.
I don't regret buying it. I know I haven't made any progress. I haven't played it yet. I want to play it just when I stream. Haven't had a chance to stream. I'm going to the airport after this podcast in 2-3 minutes, and hopefully when I get settled in Vancouver, I can stream it again.
And I think Cuphead is fun. I played with you a lot too. But I think somebody brought up a good point too. Like, people are lauding Cuphead as like this greatest thing ever. But like, again, we didn't get that far in Cuphead, right? But like, every game has criticism too. I think somebody pointed out that like some unfair deaths can be pretty poor design. Some things you can like never see coming until you memorize it. And artificial difficulty in and of itself, I agree, is not a great thing. But you can only do it to some degree. But I think a lot of stuff in Cuphead though is fair. You can see things coming and you can beat it on the second run really if you're good. If you put the practice in.
I'm only a few levels in. I'm only a few levels in. So far, I don't. It's not really that. It's hard. It took me a while to beat those 3 levels, but I did not feel like it was unfair.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you know the mechanics and they're predictable too, and like you just have to get used to dodging them. It's not like I want to be the guy where some of the mechanics just utterly bullshit and you just die for free, or I want to be the Boshi. Like any of these really hard, artificially hard PC games, and so definitely not anywhere near like that. But it kind of showed there is a market for hardcore games. People will pay money for something hardcore. Like Dark Souls as well is lauded as like this. People love Dark Souls because it is hard. We do things because they are hard, not because they're easy.
All right, JFK.
All right, JFK.
All right, well, Mr. JFK, we do have to wrap it up for this week. So that is it for now. We'll hang out for a few minutes in the post game, and then we'll have to call it a day. So thanks for watching, guys. Stick around. Hopefully more streams and content to come. Take it easy.
Later for YouTube.